Hello, Toastmasters, and welcome back to this next video in our series on the new member journey. So today we are going to be covering the fourth part of the journey, which is the guest stage, which is all about how we encourage more potential members to visit our club. And so this is one of the big barriers that a lot of clubs come up against because they don't get many guests. For whatever reason, guests are either not aware that their club is out there, or maybe they're just not convinced enough to be able to come along. And so this is the fourth step. As I said, it comes after the prospect stage, which is where a potential member has found out about Toastmasters and has found some information about your club that's correct and has managed to make contact there. And this stage is all about taking that initial contact and turning that into a physical live visit to your club. And then this step leads into the member stage, which is where we have those conversations in the club meeting or outside the club meeting to convert that guest into a member. So let's get started, because there are a number of things to cover here, and there are many, many different tools out there to assist you with taking someone who's just contacted your club and encouraging them to come along to your club as a guest. So first and foremost, when a potential member contacts your club, make sure that you follow up with them promptly, because the last thing we want is for a potential member to be reaching out to the club for more information, or maybe they're interested in coming along and no one's reaching back. We don't want that to happen, because again, it makes your club look bad and it makes Toastmasters look bad too. But it's not just about making contact and sort of returning fire and saying, hey, yeah, got your message, thank you very much. It's collecting that information. So storing that information about our prospect and using that to then follow up with them in the future if necessary. And when we are having that initial contact with our potential members, proactively inviting them along to come to their first meeting, because nothing really happens until they get to the meeting. At this stage, we're still almost sort of gently encouraging them and nurturing them along to try and get them to come along. So that's the first bit, is to actually encourage our prospect to attend the meeting. The second bit is to make sure that, again, not just that we can be found online, but that we can be found physically as well. And this comes down to your meeting venue. So one, is there signage? If someone is walking past, is it immediately obvious to them that there is a Toastmasters meeting happening there? And similarly, providing very clear directions, because if someone has reached out, or they've got onto the club's website, or they've talked to one of the members or a VPPR, and they've been given instructions, you want those instructions to be accurate and clear. You want that potential guest to find the club. Because again, so many times we see potential members drive up to where a club is supposed to be, and it's been dark, or it's been threatening, or it's not immediately obvious that there's a meeting on. Perhaps the club meets in the back of the venue rather than in the front. And that person has turned around and walked away. And they've never gone to a club, and they've never had the opportunity to join up as a member. And we don't want that to happen, because they've made the effort to come along and they've fallen over at the final hurdle, or rather our club has fallen over at the final hurdle because we haven't been out there to welcome them and to collect them and to let them know that we're here. The third part is, again, before they even make it to a seat at your club meeting, is to be completely welcoming right at the very front. So demonstrating that customer service ethic that we talked about right at the very beginning. When we walk up to a store, when we walk in for the first time, we want it to be inviting. We want it to be friendly. We want it to look like it's a place that we want to shop. Otherwise, we just turn around and walk out. I mean, how many times walking down Main Street or High Street past many different types of stores, and you don't walk into them because they're not looking interesting, or there's not something that you want, or it just doesn't look particularly inviting. The same thing happens with our clubs. If we don't look like we're a place that someone would want to spend time and at least check out and find out a little bit more from, then they're just going to walk on by. And so having a greeter at the front to welcome people in, find people who might be wandering around looking slightly lost, and inviting them to come into the room and actually say hello is a good first step. And the second step, again, is to make sure that that environment within the club, the moment you walk through the door, it's completely welcoming, that the guests are treated well, that they're not ignored, that it looks like walking in, that the club is a hive of energy, that people are really positive, there's a lot of friendly, positive, fun chatter going on, that it looks like that person has come to the right place, because first impressions are everything. And if a guest walks to the door and they see something that looks sad or looks unhappy or looks very dull, they might very well decide to turn around and go home. They might stick it out to the break, they might stick it out to the end of the meeting, but they will not be coming back if the club itself doesn't look welcoming from the very beginning. And so those are probably the main principles to think about when we're going through the guest stage. So it's making that connection between someone finding out about your club in particular and connecting to your club, and then making the leap to actually visit the club itself. That link is often missed, and it's a critical one, because it's not just enough to have information about the club out there. We need to be bringing those guests in. We need them to be coming along to the club, because that next stage is where we get to work our magic and have those conversations and show them what Toastmasters can do for them. And to help you in this endeavor, we've got a number of tools as well that you can make use of in your club. So the first and foremost, and probably the biggest one, is the Prospective Member Tracking Sheet. This is a template that District 69 has created, and it is a simple spreadsheet with a number of different columns that you can plug your guest or prospects details into. So anyone who contacts your club, collect their details, put it into the spreadsheet, and use that information to follow up with them, to track their progress through eventually coming to visit your club, to work through the different steps to sign up as a member and then get started. This tracking sheet will take them through that end-to-end process from contacting your club through to starting out as a member. It's a very effective tool, and it will allow you to keep on top of all of the different people that contact your club, and particularly from year to year, because you might have 50 prospects contact your club in a given year. And when one VPM's term ends, to be able to have that information captured to hand over to your successor so that they can continue to follow up with those potential members is really important. So that's an important tool to use for every club, is to have a system in place for tracking prospects and working them through the rest of the new member journey. The second set of tools are email templates for prospective members. When someone reaches out to your club, having, again, a simple template that you can copy and paste to respond back to them, to sort of say, hey, thank you for reaching out to find out more about Toastmasters. Here's a little bit about what we do. This is how it can help you as an individual. Please come along to one of our meetings, because it's really, really fun and you'll have a great time, and it's not at all intimidating, or words to that effect. Being able to, again, just copy and paste a standard response and tweak it depending on what the prospect has said in their initial contact will allow you to save time, to look professional, and to just increase your hit rate when it comes to encouraging those prospects to come along and visit your club. The third tool or set of tools is the Prospective Member Information Pack. When we do respond back to initial contacts, so people who have reached out to our club for the first time to find out a little bit more, having some information that can be sent to them, and it doesn't have to be a lot, but just enough to sort of say, hey, this is what Toastmasters is all about in a nutshell, and this is how it can help you. These are documents from Toastmasters International that District has put together for you to use. Again, they're just suggestions. You may have other documents related to your club that you might want to use instead, but if you don't have one of these packs already, it's a good starting point. So those are 3 tools that you can use to help your club take prospects and turn them into actual physical guests in your club meeting. And if you do that well, again, if you have 50 people contact your club and you do a good job of convincing them to come along and visit, then that's going to be another wave of potential members getting very much closer to signing up as members of your club. So that, folks, is the end of part 5, which is step 4 of the new member journey, the guest phase. Come with us and join us for the next video, which is going to be all about the members phase of the new member journey, which is where we will actually be talking about what happens in and after a club meeting to encourage those guests to sign up and become members of your club. So with that, Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you.